The next element of form, when we're talking about poetic analysis, is that of meter. Meter is a way to classify strong and weak syllables in lines of poetry. It's a bit like meter in our musical elements, strong and weak stresses of musical sounds. In this case, we'll look at the syllables of words and decide whether those syllables are stressed or unstressed. As, for example, in this poem.
I am Sam, Sam I am. That Sam I am, that Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am.
This well-known example from the illustrious children's author Dr. Seuss appears in his classic work, Green Eggs and Ham. It's a fantastic way to look at a couple different kinds of meter used in poetry. The first step is to decide on a grouping of strong and weak syllables that form a pattern. In order to do this, we have to look at each grouping, and in poetry, we call those groupings feet. So a foot is a pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. It might be one strong syllable and one weak syllable. It might be one strong syllable and two weak syllables. But a foot could also begin with a weak syllable, weak, strong, or perhaps weak, weak, strong. Let's see which kinds of stresses we can find and patterns in this poem. I am Sam. Sam I am. That Sam I am. That Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am. This poem divides up into feet where most of the feet have two syllables, a stressed and an unstressed syllable. But we can go further. We can say how many feet are in each line. Well, in this case, there are 4 feet in the first line. There are 4 feet in the second line, and there are 4 feet in the third line. That means that we can call this an example of tetrameter. Tetra meaning 4. Tetrameter. The patterns of strong and weak syllables have traditional Greek names. In fact, it's not just English poems that can be classified according to their patterns of strong and weak. Any poem that's read aloud can be classified in this way. Here are 4 of the most common patterns of stresses in meter. The first one is called an iamb. A foot that has an iamb would have a pattern of weak, strong. A foot that's called a trochee would have 2 syllables in it, but those syllables would be instead strong, weak. So far, we have weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong. Or the trochee, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, marching, marching. Now, the anapest has 3 syllables in it, and it goes weak, weak, strong, weak, weak, strong. It's got a bit of a lilt to it, in fact. The final foot is that of the dactyl, which sounds a little bit like some sort of dinosaur. But in fact, the dactyl goes strong, weak, weak, strong, weak, weak. Dactyls go dancing as light as you please. Let's take these 4 examples of stresses and see how it works when we go back to Green Eggs and Ham. Let's look at the first line of Green Eggs and Ham to figure out where the stresses and weak syllables are. Which pattern does it use? I am Sam. That first foot begins with a stressed syllable. I am. Am is much weaker when we say it out loud. Sam is all by itself in a foot, so it must be a strong. I guess they forgot to put in the weak syllable. This happens in poetry all the time. The weak syllable's so weak that it doesn't even exist. Sam, I am. Strong, weak. And the next foot is one syllable by itself, so it's a strong. Strong, weak. Strong, weak. Marching, marching. That makes this meter trochaic. But what about the second line of a poem? You might expect that they'd stay the same, and in fact, many poems do have a consistent meter from top to bottom. But what about this example of Dr. Seuss? That Sam, I am. That is a weak syllable. In music, we'd say this meter starts with a pickup or an anacrusis. In poetry, we simply say, hey, it starts with a weak syllable. That Sam, I am. The word am is still strong in this second foot. That means the word I is actually a weak one. That Sam, I am. That Sam, I am. The meter is still weak, strong, weak, strong. We have 4 feet that all have the same meter in this line. Weak, strong is in fact iambic. Because there are 4 feet in this line, we can say that it is in fact iambic tetrameter. I can put both of those words together. If you look at this poem and its alternating meters, trochees and iambs, there's actually a reason for it. Now, perhaps Green Eggs and Ham is not the world's deepest poetry, but it is interesting that Dr. Seuss plays with the metrical structure in his work. I am Sam, Sam I am. That's spoken by the character Sam. The next line, the response, that Sam I am, is actually a different character. Throughout the entire book, the 2 characters alternate their meters as if to help the reader differentiate between the 2 speakers.